Bank of America. I know, guys. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, welcome. I have some very, very disturbing news. I have just been debanked by Bank of America, and this honestly shouldn't be that surprising. I mean, Bank of America has had problems for a while now, specifically with issues like this. Actually, we learned from a lot of the J6 cases that Bank of America was proffering information about its own customers to the federal government without them even having to ask or obtain a warrant. So, for example, we know one of the things that Bank of America did is they went back to January 5th through the 7th and they flagged all of their customers that used their debit card in Washington, D.C. They also cross referenced that they went back years in their personal purchases to see if they had ever purchased firearms. If they had, they flagged that information as well, and they gave it to law enforcement. Again, this is like disturbing without the government having to get a warrant to obtain that information. And so this is where we are. And honestly, I probably shouldn't have been with Bank of America, and I do not bank with them for everything. So just to put that out there, but this is very upsetting because this is obviously about the documentary and it's happening right as I have to travel again in just a few weeks here, less than 2 weeks, to go back to Michigan for a shoot that I've already scheduled in advance and I cannot reschedule it. There are certain locations that I have access to, but it's only for a small window of time. I cannot reschedule this. I also have hired an additional crew member to come on the shoot with us, and I have to pay that person. So I don't know what I'm supposed to do about that, but let me just go ahead and bring up a thread I did on Twitter because I have some video footage of me in the actual bank. I put this thread up. If you guys could, if you're on X, please share this thread. Tag anybody you know that you think would cover this story. Bank of America has decided to quote unquote terminate their business relationship with me. Their risk department made this determination for literally no reason. I have been with them for years. This is clearly because of my documentary on the FBI's misconduct in the Governor Whitmer Fednapping case and my critical reporting. And it's very I've had this account at Bank of America for over 7 years now. It's been like since 2018 or 2019. I have never, not once, had any issues with it. They have never contacted me about any kind of concerns they had, nothing. I've never had problems there. And I was literally just physically at the bank to deposit a check a few days ago. This is actually something that maybe should have been a red flag to me, but perhaps it wasn't because I'm just not used to this kind of thing, I guess, of like being irrationally targeted in this manner. So I had deposited a check and it was for a decent amount, right? I'd made a mobile deposit and I checked a few days later and it wasn't even showing up in like the mobile banking. And so, you save the checks when you make a mobile deposit. You're supposed to like save the physical check just in case there's any issues. And I always do that. So I took the check and I physically went into the bank. And this was, I think, maybe 3 days ago. I want to say on the 10th. So I spoke to a woman there. And the issue had been there was a discrepancy between the written amount of what the amount was for and then the little box where you write the number. So you have to like spell it out and then you have to write it. And sometimes with people that have a little dyslexia, maybe they reverse a number or they get something wrong. So it was something like that that I had to deal with. Got it deposited. It hadn't cleared. They said it would clear Friday or something. And because they hadn't alerted me when it first occurred, like I could have brought it in the next day. The funds should have been available to me sooner is what I'm getting at. Okay. So that woman tells me that. And then she asks me some personal questions. She's like, oh, what kind of business is this? And she was asking me, like, what do you do? I said broadcasting. That I probably shouldn't have done that, like broadcasting and filmmaking. And I shouldn't have said it, but you just don't think. It's just an innocent conversation at the bank. You don't think anything is going to come of it. And she's like, oh, well, that's a generous donation. I was like, yeah, it was a very nice, it's very nice. We got a lot of supportive people to support my work. I think it could have been that conversation with that person, because what they said today was that the risk department made this determination on the 10th. That would have been 3 days ago when I was physically present at the bank dealing with this past issue that I had with them. And so I just, that should have been a red flag, but it wasn't. And apparently, I don't know, maybe this woman called the risk department and flagged me. I have no idea why she would do that or if she did that, but in any case, going back to my thread, they wouldn't tell me why. So they decide they're going to, quote, terminate my business relationship. The risk department at Bank of America makes this determination, but they won't say why they made the determination, what caused them to make the determination. They will not allow me access to the bank account or my funds. That's another thing. So my bank card is not working right now. I can't log into my mobile banking. I can't even look to see what the balance of the account is right now. Like, they disabled the username and password, and then it said, like, you need to make a new one or something, but then it wouldn't let me. So they obviously shut down my ability to even look at the account. I can't see transactions. This is something else. Like, we have auto pay set up for bills. We have a lot of bills that come due right around this time of the month that go through auto pay. I can't even check right now to see if those have gone through. I don't know if this other check had cleared. And so I don't know right now if my bills are able to be paid. And so going back to the thread here and the conversation I had with them, they're telling me I will get a, quote, check in the mail for, the balance of the account, but they won't say what the current account balance is. They won't say when I can expect the check, when it's going to be cut, and they wouldn't tell me, since I had a check that was still pending and hadn't cleared yet, wasn't expected to clear until the end of the week this Friday. They are not telling me if that is like, if when they send the check, if it's going to have that in it or if that's going to be returned to me. They wouldn't say, and they're not saying when I can expect this to happen. They wouldn't give me any information. I am, again, traveling at the end of this month for my documentary, and now I have no funds. They wouldn't say when the check will come. I have a shoot in less than 2 weeks, and I have crew members I need to pay. Here is a video of the bank employee, who was very kind, by the way, and just doing her job, informing us about the decision by the risk department to terminate the account for no reason. And I'll say, too, that I have this little black thing here. I put that there because you could see the employee's name and the branch location on a business card, and I just didn't want anybody trolling her or the bank, because I don't blame these people. Look, they're just employees. She's just doing her job. It's not her fault that the risk department at Bank of America's corporate office made this decision. This woman did not make the decision, but I did record the conversation.
So it looks like the bank is potentially closes or back department closure by risk department. We benefit closing the business account. So I have to put you in touch with them. I can actually give you the phone number if you want to call from here and see what's going on, if there's anything that they determined So the back department is determining pending closure. But, oh,
Okay,
okay.
so I will tell you what came of that. She did put me in one of the little cubicle areas with a phone, and she dialed the risk department at Bank of America and put me on the phone with them. They would not give me any information. They wouldn't tell me why they made this decision, when they made this decision, if there was any issues that caused them to make this determination, that maybe there was a misunderstanding or something. They wouldn't say. It's like they're just terminating an account that has been there for years just because, on a whim, and then they're holding my money hostage. They are currently holding the funds hostage and will not say when they will be released. And this is happening right after I announced publicly that I was going to be making another trip for the documentary. So I do not think the timing of that is a coincidence. I think it's obvious that obviously they don't like what I'm doing, and they have tried numerous ways to shut down this documentary or to throw up obstacles in my way, right, in my path. When I'd been doing the interviews, the prison interviews with Adam and Barry for the documentary, and recording that on film, in video, doing the interviews, and I got statements from them for the weaponization committee the day after I published those statements. Adam and Barry are moved to supermax prisons across the country, and my ability to communicate with them or their ability to participate in the documentary any further was completely shut down. So that's it, right? I was the last person to interview them, and they were prevented from participating any further. And our communication now is through the mail, written letters, and even that is difficult, especially with Barry Croft, for example. And so they've made it very difficult. Another thing that they did was taking down the documentary Twitter account, the X account that, again, I had been paying for, that I had for well over a year and never had any issues with. And I got this like people doubting that this was me being targeted, people saying things like, well, maybe it was just a mistake. Well, maybe the algorithm just flagged you. And that wasn't the case. It actually took me 2 days to get the documentary X account restored. And the only reason it was restored is because so many people were tagging X support, the new CEO, Linda, whatever her name is, and people were tagging Elon. And they were saying, like, you can't call this a free speech platform if you are censoring documentary films before they even come out, before it's even released. So the account was just quietly restored. An ex-employee says, oh, it should be back now, 2 days later, and they wouldn't say why it was taken down in the first place. And I do not believe it was a mistake, just like I don't believe that this was a mistake. When I first announced online, hey, I think I'm being debanked, my card isn't working, my login isn't working, I had a bunch of people responding to me saying, oh, it was probably just an accident, probably just a mistake in the system, oh, it was probably just incompetence of an employee, this or that. And I knew that wasn't the case. I went in person to talk to the bank and found out, no, I'm being debanked. This is not, none of the things that have happened to me since I have started working on this documentary have been accidental. None of it. Not the raiding of my house twice within 3 days, once at 4 o'clock in the morning. This was not a mistake. It wasn't me being swatted. I mean, it was, but it was obviously by the government. So this is like, it's been an ongoing struggle and battle, and it never ends. But what they say, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. And I think that this is just going to make us stronger and more resilient. I'm now going to be moving to a bank that I'm going to thoroughly research and make sure that they do not engage in this kind of activity. I actually had somebody reach out to me that had a list of alternative banks who do not engage in debanking that other people who have been subjected to this have gone to before. The issue is right now, though, I have no access to any of my funds, and I was going to be paying out of pocket for most of this trip. I was able to raise some funds for it, but not enough. Like, I need about $3,000 for my next trip, and that's a very light estimate, probably more than that, which I was going to be paying for out of pocket with my own money. And now I can't even do that because I don't know when I'm going to get access to that, and I cannot reschedule any of this. So if you would like to contribute to the documentary and to this next trip I have coming up in 2 weeks, you can still do that. And I want to make this clear too. The documentary fundraiser has never been associated with this account that I'm talking about. This Bank of America account we've had for years before we even started the documentary. So these are, if you've donated to the documentary, do not be worried that me being debanked is going to affect your donations or is going to somehow get you flagged in any bank system. It's not. This is through Give, Send, Go. That's what we use for the documentary fundraiser, and it goes into a bank account specifically set up for the documentary. The documentary has its own account, and none of that has been affected by this debanking. So you can still donate to that, and I encourage you to do so only if you can right now. The website is kandkfilm.com, like the letter K and K film.com. And if you click here, there's a donation link at the top that brings you to this page. And if you scroll all the way down, there is a link here to the actual Give, Send, Go fundraiser, where you can contribute to the documentary. You can still contribute there. We have about 2 weeks to raise like $3,500. I got to pay crew members. I got to pay for travel. I got to pay for a hotel for a week. We're going to be going up and down the state of Michigan at certain locations already planned in advance and stuff. So it's a lot. It gets very expensive having to stay at different hotels every night. And having to pay for gas and food, and sometimes things happen where, like last time, a tripod broke and I had to spend $800 on that. You never know. Sometimes there are unforeseen expenses that you don't realize until you get there. But this last trip is so essential. We do not have a documentary without this footage, so I have to do this. I have to get this finished, and we've got 2 weeks now to basically raise the money that we need to complete this trip. I believe, though, I have faith. I believe we're going to be able to raise that and hit that goal in the next 2 weeks. I think that we can all pull together to make this happen. You guys have been so amazing and so generous with your support. This entire documentary has been crowdfunded. It has only been done because you guys have supported me and my work throughout this journey. And I'm so excited to share with you guys like what we have, but we were in post-production and realized like there's a couple things we have to get or we cannot finish this film. We want to get back into post-production so we can get this out for you guys and get it done, but I also will not sacrifice quality for anything. I'm going to be going into the details in this because nobody else is going to do it, and somebody has to preserve the accurate historical record here. No one else is going to do it. So that's where we are right now. It's always something, isn't it, guys? But I have faith. Like, I feel like God has been guiding this entire thing, and I feel like these obstacles, these challenges, these struggles that we have are there to make us stronger. Like that is the Lord making us more resilient, preparing us for the future. This is happening. This debanking is happening. Yes, it's a bad thing, but God always uses these bad things for good. And I think that's going to happen here. I believe we're going to raise what we need to get this last trip finished. We've got 2 weeks. Anyone, if you can contribute anything, it will help. And I deeply, deeply appreciate it. Thank you guys so much. That's it for now. This is a warning, though. Let this be a warning to all of you guys to get your money out of these banks. We have known about the problem in the banking sector for a very long time. I mean, you guys know. We've covered the issues with the regional banks. I mean, if you go on the Radix Report, my second channel, I did my video on Credit Suisse predicting the collapse of that before it happened and was, chopped up and sold to UBS. Well, forced on them basically. There were certain things you could see, you could predict like that this was going to be coming. And I think many of us have known that the banking system is horrible. But this is just more reason and incentive for you guys to get your money out of the banks. These banks are not safe. They don't care about you. They do not have your interest in mind. They will debank you for politics because you dissent from the official narrative, because you have the audacity to make an accurate, independent documentary. It's ridiculous. Put your money in other places. There are credit unions, there are other places that do not engage in this behavior, in debanking and all the other things that these banks do, by the way. They're disgusting fees that they put on you, which should be criminal in some cases. The interest they charge people on loans, which is often very predatory. Like, they're just not good. So that's where we're at right now. The documentary account, completely different from this. That has not been debanked yet. It's just been our other business account with Bank of America that we've had for many years. But that also has a lot of most of our funds were in that account because that's where a lot of our bills come out of. That was like our main business account, and now we don't have that. So it's just a mess. Anyways, this is long. It's rambling. You get the picture. Anyone, if you can, share this message. Let people know this can happen to them. And it doesn't just happen, by the way, to filmmakers like me, to journalists, to dissidents. It can happen to people who just run afoul of the system in some way. Like, this can happen to regular people too. Don't think that because you're just some regular person working your job and you're not, going after the government in a documentary, don't think that means that you're safe here, that your money is safe in these institutions. It is not. The regional banking crisis is not over yet. I think we're going to see more bank failures. They're smarter, though, in how they're letting it happen. Like, they know it's going to happen, and they're trying to align mergers in advance so that they quietly merge this bank with another one or whatever to... I think they don't want people freaking out about the situation because they don't want to cause any bank runs and things like that. But anyways, this has been too long. That's it for now. Have a good day, guys.